Hey guys, Twice here with another deck profile for you on CFA. This one is going to be for the amazingly powerful Dragonewt Dauntless combination. Really awesome deck. I know it's dominating Japan right now, and for good reason. It just has incredible power. Alright, so we're going to get right into it. First, I do run Red Pulse Draco Kid for a couple of reasons. First, I mean, this really is just like the generic Kagero starter. It really is just the best for most decks. Counterblast 1 from the Soul, check the top 5 for a grade 3. First of all, you do need a copy of a unit on the Vanguard circle to activate the ability, and, you know, just having that extra unit in hand, you really do want to make sure that you're getting off the break ride with this deck, because it just will annihilate your opponent. So getting that Dauntless in hand early, just to guarantee you that you are set up for the break ride turn, is really imperative. So it is a really good starting Vanguard. For triggers, as you can see, I run 4 draw. 2 Gatling Claw, 2 Arc Peak, because I like to kill starters with this, and I like to boost usually rearguard columns with this just to make them a little bit more threatening, maybe force out some more shield. It kind of depends on what my opponent's running. And then, of course, your generic 8 crit, because this is Kagero, and then your 4 awesome new-looking heals. Yeah, they look great. Anyway, so moving on to grade 1s, on 4 Gojo. So this card is probably one of the best in the deck, if not, like, you know, aside from the main Vanguard, like the best utility. So ability, of course, rest, drop, and draw. First of all, you need this card just to cycle through cards in your hand. That way you can get a unit that's on the Vanguard circle, like in your hand, more often. And, you know, again, just if you don't have Dauntless already, or if you didn't get him with Red Pulse, then this is the card to kind of help you do so. You know, just kind of help fix your hand. He also gets you to Legion faster because he can, you know, dump more cards into the drop zone early. And he's a solid 7k base. So Gojo, definitely a really useful card in this deck. I run 2 Grom because I do have a lot of things in this deck that use counterblasts and nothing to unflip them, since my usual bread and butter Bellicosity Berserk Dragon combo isn't in this deck. So Grom, he does add things to the drop zone, still a solid 5k boost, and, you know, just unflips that damage when I need him to. Then I run 4 Seal Dragon Spirit Mulkey Bell, and this card is like, it just kind of makes this deck, if the deck wasn't already broken enough, it just made the deck even more broken. They included this new kind of card in set 17 that your limit break is now active always. And this is kind of changing the way that the game is working now, because now limit break abilities are no longer limited to just the late game, and now you can break ride really early. And they're kind of making break rides more viable, plus the card itself is a nice 7k base. So, you know, getting this card in the rear guard early, especially when you have Dauntless on the Vanguard, just makes it easier to kind of destroy your opponent early on, even when you just get enough cards in your drop zone to Legion. So yeah, there you go. It's just one of the more game breaking parts of this deck, aside from, you know, the Vanguards themselves. And then 4 Perfect Guards, because with cards like Grom and Gojo, I don't really need Quintet Walls. And again, there are a lot of things that counterblast in this deck anyway, so I prefer to just preserve those for my actual, like, main cards and utilities. Plus, he looks super awesome. And then, on to grade 2s. Run 4 Arabella. I've come to like this card a lot for Kagero decks just because it's so, you know, widely useful. So ability is Caller to the Rearguard, Counterblast 1, and you can give your Flame Dragon Vanguard 5,000 power, which of course, most main Kagero Vanguards are going to be Flame Dragons. So it keeps that for the whole turn, and especially with things like Dauntless that can just restand your Vanguard, I mean, you're getting the full benefit of that 5,000 power for just 1 Counterblast, and then she's a solid 9k base. Then I run 3 Pain Laser because he's just, you know, again, a really good utility. Counterblast 1. If you have a Perdition Vanguard, choose up to one of your opponent's rearguards, same column as him, and then you retire it. So you can retire key boosters, you know, interceptors, starters, just whatever. So he is just an overall really useful card for this deck. And if I ever did want to run Pain Laser, then, you know, there you go. And then I have 4 Whirlwind Dragon, of course, because he's the Legion mate. He looks really cool, and 12k attackers are just, you know, always necessary. Even though I might be sitting on Dauntless and I might not get the 12k, you know, it's still nice to have it when I get to use it. And then, of course, for the grade 3s, I run 4 Dauntless Drive Dragon. I've had a couple conversations with a couple different people about this card, and while I would like to say that there are a couple things that could be up for grabs for the best break ride in the game, Dauntless really does take the cake. I mean, he lets anything restand that rides over him. That includes Novell, that includes, you know, the End, that includes, in this case, freaking Dragonewt, you know? And the fact that he can be used in so many different ways, and he will be used in many different ways by future Vanguards that can just get even more power, means that his ability to restand anything makes him arguably the best break ride in the game. And plus that extra 10k power, you're getting the full benefit of that and even more because your Vanguard gets to restand. And while the cost might be a little bit heavy, you will always have 3 cards in your hand because you draw for the turn. After Twin Drive, there you go, there's 3 cards in your hand. So even if you're discarding everything you have and going for broke with your Vanguard, I mean, you know, 1 draw trigger makes up for the cost. So it really is just, I would say Dauntless Dragon is the best break ride in the game. There's a lot of argument for that, but in the end, especially with this deck, he really does showcase how useful he is in like every situation. So then, of course, in combo with that, I run Perdition Dragon, Vortex Dragonewt. I mean, just this card is incredible. By himself, not as much, but when you combo him with all the support, yeah, he's really good. So Legion 20,000 with Whirlwind Dragon. Legion skill is counter loss 2, and choose 1 card with the same name as the unit on your Vanguard circle from your hand and discard it. So almost like a Persona Blast kind of skill. And then you can retire 2 of your opponent's grade 2 or less rear guards. And then if your opponent has 4 or less damage, you damage your opponent's Vanguard, and their trigger check will not work. So even if they get like a draw trigger, it's not going to work. So he's almost like a better version of Drag Ruler, but I can't really compare the two because first of all, you can only use this ability once per turn, and second, I mean, they're 2 very different decks, but still, his secondary skill though is what really makes it good because he gets 3,000 power for each unit retired. So if you were able to call like 2 Menace Lasers in 1 turn, and then kill 2 rear guards, and then use his ability to kill 2 more, well, you just gave him 12,000 power on top of the Legion and on top of the break ride, and he'll get to restand. You know, and then your opponent has 1 more damage that they don't get any benefits from. So if your opponent is even at like 3 damage, you're going to be forcing out a lot of shield just because of the sheer amount of power that your center line has, and that you're going to be able to restand it. So, I mean, in the end, he is again like one of the best cards of the game right now for a reason. He was designed to be, and he's coming into a clan that has, I mean, just yeah, that has that. So anyway, it's a really strong deck. I built it. I've used it against a couple different people online, and I've had a couple people just rage quit as soon as they see that I'm running Kaiguro, and it's for good reason. Anyway, so hope you guys enjoy. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more Team Zenith. We appreciate all the support you've given to us thus far. Remember to have a great day and keep card fighting, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.